Hi, Ray Moran with the IIBV, here today with Christine Sawchuk, the President and CEO of the CBV Institute. We're honored to have Christine with us because the CBV Institute has been doing some tremendous things with the global community, and particularly with helping attract younger individuals into our profession. Christine, welcome. Would you mind starting by telling us a bit about the CBV Institute?
Sure. Thanks, Ray. Thanks to you and the IIBV for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So the Chartered Business Valuator Institute, or CBV Institute, has been in existence for over 50 years. And we are Canada's only professional business valuation organization that provides training and accreditation to business valuation specifically. The CBV, or Chartered Business Valuator designation, is awarded to professionals who complete 6 courses in our program of studies, as well as a membership qualification exam, and people who have obtained the necessary practical experience. All of our courses are online, including courses in the program of studies and the membership qualification exam. And what this means is that students can take our courses from anywhere in the world. So we do have members and students in Canada. Most of them are in Canada, but we do have members and students around the world as well.
That is terrific. Christine, what is the status of the business valuation profession in Canada? Has it been evolving over the past few years?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've seen some significant changes in the profession over the past few years. I think when I think about it at a high level, I believe awareness of the profession has significantly increased due to the increased focus on, matters with which business valuation professionals are involved. So things like the evaluation of intangible assets and data and ESG, all these things are in the forefront in the market, I think, and because business valuation professionals are engaged in those types of matters, the awareness of the profession has grown. But when I step back and I think, a bit deeper of some of the trends or emerging issues that we're seeing in the profession, I think, 3 or 4 probably come to mind. I think the first one that comes to mind is probably the increased complexity of the work that's being done by valuation professionals. And so I think that complexity goes to both the nature of the asset or business interest being valued, as well as the context in which it's being valued. So that's one trend that I've been seeing. The second, I think, significant trend that I've been seeing is that there is increased demand for transparency and more disclosure on the work that's being done. So valuation professionals are certainly being held to a higher standard. The third trend that I think I've seen quite a bit recently is emerging valuation metrics that are coming up and becoming more common, and they're being used in conjunction with some of the more conventional or traditional valuation metrics. And so where we're seeing this are areas like the valuation of data and other metrics related to ESG. And I think the last trend that I can see is the increased availability and usage of technology, specifically valuation automated valuation models. And when I think about, all of these trends together, I think what it underscores is the need for a professional who is highly trained, highly educated, and experienced in business valuation, to be doing this work. Someone who knows the limitations, the opportunities of technology, and someone who will be held accountable by an organization in terms of practice standards and strong code of ethics and ongoing professional development related to valuation. I hold that belief, but I think the market in terms of employers and consumers of valuation services also hold this belief because we've seen the demand for CBVs and business valuation professionals in general, both in Canada and around the world, to be at an all-time high recently.
Christine, you've mentioned a few really interesting things. The CBV Institute has always been highly involved globally in terms of our profession. How are you seeing globalization affect the practice in Canada and what the CBV Institute has been doing?
We have, and that's a good question. I think, the fundamental belief is that business is global, obviously, and so is our profession. And we recognize that a professional in one country, be it Canada or India or the United States or New Zealand, can for the most part provide business valuation services around the world. So globalization has impacted the way CBV Institute operates in a few main ways. I think the first way is that we recognize that members and students need to have the tools in their toolkit to be able to provide services to end users or consumers around the world, whether it be business owners or regulators or governments or the courts. So what we do at the Institute is ensure that we're constantly reviewing what's happening in the market, comparing it to our program of studies, and we're making sure that courses in our program of studies are sufficiently updated on a regular basis so that they're relevant, up-to-date, and practical for students taking those courses. And by the same token, we're making sure that our continuing professional development, or CPD, reflects what's going on in the market to make sure that our members and students are adequately prepared to provide services. So that's one way it's impacted our operations. I think the second way globalization has impacted our operations is that we want to make sure that work products provided or prepared by members and students are of high quality and best in practice around the world. So we already at CBV Institute have a set of high quality standards, but what we have been doing, the path that we've been going down recently, is that we are moving towards the adoption of international valuation standards, or IVS. International valuation standards are issued by the International Valuation Standards Council. And so what we are planning on doing is allowing our members and students to either use the CBV, Standards in Existence, or IVS. And the members and students can make that decision based on where they're located, the type of work product they're preparing, who they're preparing it for. So in addition, I think we're also very much involved with the IVS on various working groups and boards. And we also regularly collaborate with peer evaluation organizations around the world, including the ASA, AICPA, RICS, and several others. Collaboration with these organizations enables us to have a good feel of what's going on in markets around the world, and really, helps us to build best practices and standards in education. And beyond that, I think on a global level, it really does help to build a strong global valuation community in general, when organizations around the world are working in conjunction with each other. An example of one of the projects we've worked on with these folks is the International Valuation, or the International Business Valuation Glossary, which we worked on, which promoted the harmonization of business valuation terms globally.
Those are all great topics. How do you select priorities amongst all of those?
It's challenging. I mean, the profession is constantly evolving and it's ever changing. So we do have a number of priorities and initiatives that we're working on over the next few years. But I think there's really three buckets that we're focusing on. The first bucket is brand awareness, specifically in universities and specific industries in Canada and around the world. And when we're talking to, business owners in industry, what we'll be focusing on is that business valuation is very much a multidisciplinary profession. And there's significant value that accredited and skilled professionals bring to the table. And when we're talking to universities, we're focusing on the fact that business valuation is a distinct profession that you can be in, and it's fascinating and it's lucrative. So brand awareness is one priority that we're working on. The second priority, I think I would call it networking or community building. So internally, what we're doing is we're stepping back and saying, what can we do to deliver better stakeholder value to our members and students? How can we get them more benefits? How can we connect them so that they can collaborate and engage with each other to, elevate their own practices? Externally, we're making sure that we are continuing to enhance our network and build more connections with both, our peer evaluation organizations that are talked about, in addition to other financial and accounting organizations, governments, regulators, and other institutions. And then the third thing that I think we'll be focusing on for the next while is really something that's pretty evergreen, something that we've always focused on, and that's education. So further enhancements to education to make sure that our content and delivery are top and best in class, and making sure that we're keeping up with the profession that's evolving at such a rapid pace.
I know education is one of your favorite topics to discuss given your professional background, which is a wonderful segue to the topic of how do we attract younger professionals and students into the business valuation profession. Do you have any thoughts you can share on that?
Yeah, so I think one of the things I'd like to preface that answer with is, the opportunities in the business valuation profession. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but demand for professionals accredited in business valuation, and I can speak for CBV specifically, but both in Canada and around the world, it's currently at an all-time high. I really can't emphasize that enough. We're seeing unprecedented demand from a wide range of industries. So accounting and investment firms, government agencies, pension funds, corporations. It's really quite extraordinary, the demand we're seeing for bodies to be in these positions in business valuation. And I think the other opportunity that I'd like to communicate is that not only are the jobs there, but the vastness of the jobs that people can hold. I think, every week I speak to a member student and I learn about what they're doing, and I'm just fascinated at what they're doing because it's a completely new job or career to me. And that's true for both Canada and around the world. It's really, quite impressive the types of roles that our members and students have in litigation or transaction advisory, business advisory, work related to ESG, tax compliance. It's really, all over the map. Overall, business valuation is an excellent career for someone who has, some financial literacy. They have an analytical mindset and they enjoy variety and flexibility in their work. And, people who obviously like an intellectual challenge.
I noticed that you've been looking at other social media platforms recently, including Instagram, and one of my favorite posts I noticed there was one commenting that you really don't need a finance or a business background as a requirement to become a valuer.
That's right, Ray, and I think that's one of the questions we get asked fairly frequently. Do I need to have a business degree or an accounting degree, a finance degree? And while it certainly helps you along the journey, we do have students in, engineering, coming from an engineering background, a general arts background, information sciences. So as long as you have that commitment to learn, an analytical mindset, and like I said, some kind of financial literacy, you'll be well suited in the profession.
I definitely agree with that, absolutely. What advice would you give any students or young professionals considering valuation, Christine?
Yeah, I would say that, at a high level, I really recommend it, highly recommend it, both as the president and a CBV. There's no time like the present. I've already mentioned that demand for professionals in business valuation and CBVs, like I can say personally, is at an all-time high. So the job prospects are excellent. I've already mentioned that aside from getting, a job quite easily in the profession, I think past the point of getting a job, it will open doors to further professional and personal and volunteer opportunities. And I think the one question that we get a lot that is important to communicate is that the return on your investment in getting a designation is obviously excellent.
Yeah, I could not agree more. It's just a great profession with so many fascinating industries and services that we now perform on just, what's happening every day out in the marketplace. So many good things happening. You started telling me about some of the recent programs you have coming up regarding education and events. Would you like to give a bit more explanation about that?
Sure. So I think, the main thing is we have an intake in late August for a program of studies. So there's 3 terms per year. So there's an intake on that. And if anyone's interested in joining the program of studies, they can certainly contact our education team. In terms of continuing professional development, which is open to obviously our members and students and the public at large, if you should so desire, we have a few really interesting series coming up. So we have an infrastructure series that's coming up. We have a series focused on the valuation of pharmacies, and we have a series focused on ESG, which is as everyone is aware, quite a hot topic right now. So any of those events, you can sign up as a guest. I think we'll have the link in our captions to our events page, and we hope to see you at one of those.
I guarantee you I will be there. Those are all topics that fascinate me, and it really top of mind for everyone these days. I always like to end with any final thoughts or comments, Christine. Would you like to give one final thought perhaps to our listeners.
Yeah, I would say, university students, be open with your career choices. I think a lot of university students enter their education with a set career path in mind, but be open to new opportunities, and that's part of what we're doing. Part of our initiatives in universities is going into universities and explaining that these careers are available for you, and they're, like I said, fascinating and lucrative. So a lot of what we're doing is spreading the awareness that way with a LinkedIn showcase page and an Instagram page and some presentations and roadshows that we're doing. So just be open to careers that you maybe haven't considered pursuing before, and always keep your eye on the market and trends and things that might supplement your career going forward.
Those are all wonderful comments. Again, the CBV Institute has been doing tremendous work throughout its 50-year career now. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward to much more involvement with the global profession, trying to improve it for all of us. Thank you so much for joining us. I know our listeners will have questions. Please post them in the thread below and we'll respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Thanks.